We think reading great Christian books is vital for spiritual growth. So we are asking significant Christian leaders which 3 books have changed their lives. Adrian Plass is a well-known and well-loved author. He's written over 36 books, but his most famous is The Secret Diary of Adrian Plass, aged 37 and 3/4, which has sold over 1 million copies worldwide. His latest book is called The Shadow Doctor.
The Shadow Doctor is the most difficult book I've ever written. I had a stroke about 2.5 years ago, and I was ill for the 2.5 years in which I wrote it. It's about a man called the Shadow Doctor who helps people with their shadows, and a young man called Jack who helps him to help those people. They help someone who's being blackmailed, they help a lady who is afraid she's going to explode, they help a vicar who's totally lost his faith. It completes a circle between the young me, who knew nothing, and the present me who also knows nothing, but knows he knows nothing. And it's really about pushing forward to find a new way to continue to be a follower of Jesus without using silly words and silly expressions and perhaps rather redundant ways of approaching things. I love Three Men in a Boat. It is my Bible of humour. It is where every humorous instinct I have comes from. It's a Victorian book. It was written long before anyone knew anything about Monty Python, long before any of the modern absurdists got going. It is so funny, so reflective, so charming, so self-effacing, so full of hope and elation and despair. If you want to read a book, go and read Three Men in a Boat, and you'll have a smile on your face for some time. Father Brown's story is about a little Catholic priest called Father Brown, who in each story solves a murder mystery. He's asked at one point by his friend, "How did you manage to catch all these criminals? Because they're all murder stories." And he says, "I committed the crimes." And there's a hush. And of course he didn't. But he put himself into the hearts and lives of those who did. And because he identifies with them, he also sympathizes with them and is able to understand the need for forgiveness and absolution and all of those things. Very wise, very deep, sometimes very strange, very funny at times, very good for Christians, I think, or anybody, actually. The Great Divorce is a masterpiece among very, very fine books by C.S. Lewis, and The Great Divorce is probably the one that makes me chew on ideas more than any other, which is saying something for C.S. Lewis, because that is what he does. He makes you think. He was so clever in his exploration of types. You meet every kind of person you can imagine landing in heaven or not landing in heaven, and Lewis opens up the reasons why they have decided what they will end up with, rather than God deciding what they will end up with, because they have decided to pursue certain aspects of their lives and attitudes. And the results are uncomfortable. You will question yourself about many, many things, and I think that will be very good for most of us. It sounds a bit banal to say it, but you don't read a book reads you. When you read a book, the book finds things in you that you didn't know were there. They open us up, they give us new ideas, they surprise us, they shock us. A poem, a book of poems, a book of short stories, they can really enter into your heart and give you new vision. You can find such wonderful new things in books about yourself. So I should really go for it. Those who are not used to reading regularly, have a go.
So here are 3 brand new books you really ought to know about. The first is called The Lion Handbook to the Bible. It's now in its 5th edition, and as a Christian this was one of the first books I was given, and it's great. If you're reading the Bible and you come across a bit of historical context you're not quite aware of or sure of, here's the book you want to have next to you. It's got some beautiful diagrams, wonderful pictures and really accessible text. If you're not a Bible scholar as such but want to really go a bit deeper, this is a fantastic book. The second is a book by Alistair McGrath, and it's called Enriching Our Vision of Reality. Professor Alistair McGrath is based at Oxford University, and he's a world-renowned scholar when it comes to the interface between science and Christianity. This is a really accessible book. If you're a Christian and you want to know more about science, or you're a scientist who wants to know more about Christianity, this is a great book to get started with, enriching our vision of reality, theology and the natural sciences in dialogue. And finally, this is a new book by Les Moyer. It's called The Missing Jewel, the worship movement that impacted the nations. Now, like me, you probably love singing in church, and the way that has changed over the last 30 years is huge. You might not be aware of the impact that's had on our life and our worship of God. Well, Les has been a key player in bringing together artists such as Tim Hughes, Matt Redmond, and it's even got a foreword by Martin Smith. Have a look at this book, I'm sure you'll enjoy it.